You know, we only have 10 minutes left. So I just like to touch on a few points that I've picked up. Just going back to Rick's conversation, and yeah, there's something that's come up also through Cara's presentation is the sustainability factor. And you know, going back to your conversation, Rick, it really does feel as if Africa's deliberately being kicked in the teeth over the past couple of days. And you know what? As my fellow board members know, I've been having this conversation for a long time. Africa needs to stand up for itself. We need to help ourselves in order to grow and overcome this thing. Traditionally, we've not done intra-Africa travel in any way or form. And I'm so happy to see over the past few years, and then Rick, you're certainly one of the influencers there, that is slowly but surely busy changing. We need to start trusting each other. We need to start helping each other. Airlift is one of the big things that we're working on. And, you know, again, as we start getting it right, we get smacked in the chops again. But there's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes on to promote and improve air travel. We've got to get those costs down. So in order to make it affordable for Africans to travel within Africa, we've got to do a lot of hard work on that. And we as a collective, as site leadership, we need to address that. And this should really be one of our strategies for next year, guys. Looking at the sustainability factor, and Rick, I think you touched on this as well. We've got to upskill, we've got to reskill, we've got to re-strategize how we do business. We within Africa have to help ourselves, because if we have to rely on the rest of the world, nothing's going to happen. And you know what, personally, I'm sick and tired of Africa being the experimental backyard for the rest of the world. We've got to get out of that mindset. Just looking at a couple of things, and then I'm going to open it to the floor. Looking at stuff like food safety and security, we should not have to rely on the rest of the world to feed Africa. The fact that Kenya has to import maize from Mexico is absolute rubbish. Why can't they get it from South Africa or any other country within Africa? Self-sustainability to me is super important. And I love those projects that Karen has touched on. And I'm also seeing a lot of this. You know, we need to talk about food safety. We're not just talking about E. coli stuff. We're talking about food security, having, you know, being able to feed ourselves. Food production. Have a chicken in your backyard and let them lay eggs. Don't worry about having to spend money going to the grocery store. Looking at our health situation. And then, of course, hope. Very important what you said there, Rick. We cannot afford to lose hope. So we've got to become more, cohesive and talk to each other. We're a massive continent. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy to pull 54 countries together. But I think just looking at our membership, I think we're 9 countries with site membership. That's a good start. And everybody who are site members have already progressed to the next level. Always using Rwanda as the what you call it, the golden boy. Sorry, I'm going to keep on doing this until somebody else takes over from Rwanda. But 5 years ago, Rwanda was nowhere on top of anybody's mind. Today, they're practically leading the continent, and that is through leadership. And leadership is what we've got to focus on, especially with our young people, because they're going to have to lead this continent in a few years' time. And on that note, I'm going to shut up and open the floor. So anybody wants to have a go?
I just want to add to the back of that, Tez. I mean, sustainability and conservation has definitely been a golden thread throughout, and it's very close to my heart. And, you know, with the more we try to have all these protocols to avoid cross-contamination and all of that, we are also increasing our single-use plastic, for example. So how do we continue keeping the high standards of protocols and having our tourists feel safe, but also continue being sustainable and looking after our nature and our conservation and all of that? You know, it's always
question. Yeah, Rick,
yeah.
Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, Absolutely. I'm just looking here. I made some notes, picking up, I think, threading a sentiment that certainly the room is sharing. To go forward, we need to start changing things. So, as I said a little earlier, the worst thing right now for me, certainly, and I think for us in the room, is that, well, we've always done it this way. Well, if that is what it is, reverse back, double click, and find out how we're going to do that. How are we going to generate innovation? Often when I think of innovation, what does innovation mean? And I hope I'm not going to go too far back in our reference points, Tess and gang. Do we all remember Henry Ford? He was the guy who built the very first car, right? So when this is just to try to keep it a bit light. When he did his research, asking his community, asking his target market what they wanted, they said they wanted a faster horse. So I mean, there you are in a space where there were no motor cars all those years ago, and the research said, "Give me a faster horse." Well, that's not good enough. You need to go and find other ways of doing that. So we talk about, and I think you put it on the table, Tess, around trust. We as a continent, coming back to the conversation vis-a-vis visas and airlines, and our air strategy needs a lot of work. Trust and inspiration is going to steer certainly the meetings industry into the next decade, off the back of powerful convention bureaus. So in those convention bureaus, we need strong leadership, as we've been talking to. We need the kind of talent that's been demonstrated here off the back of South Africa. And we need to build high trust teams. How do we trust each other? And I think that's perhaps one of the challenges from an African perspective. I'm just trying to find, I know I've got somewhere in my notes here, again, underlining exactly what you said vis-a-vis the Lighthouse brand right now being Rwanda. To your point, Tess, 5 years ago, there was nothing there. And I think people are now saying, oh my God, so that is what a convention bureau can do. But it needs a lot of work, it needs a lot of talent. You've got a fantastic team there. You've got great private sector starting to grasp the business events channel, funnel, call it whatever you will. And already there are conversations of DMCs, PCOs in Kenya, in Ethiopia, looking to set up offices there. And that is exactly the long tail of what the business events sector can bring to a destination. But it needs commitment, and it needs passion, and it needs unwavering focus. Yeah.
Thank you, Rick. So we've got like 1 minute left. Any parting shots from anyone? It looks like we unfortunately lost David, so I would have loved for him to make a closing statement, but I think he's dropped off. Rick, anything in closing from you?
Yeah, I just think, thank you, Tess. Just in terms of a closing statement, it's been a privilege and a pleasure to be with you this afternoon for a start. We're going into a new world. 2021 is hopefully behind us. Let's look forward. Let's not look backwards. And I think inspiration is something that we can all give one another.
Totally. I'm so happy to see David manage to hop back on board. David, we're just busy wrapping up. Would you like to share some closing comments before we close up?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks once again. I've really enjoyed all the videos and content. And I think what's amazing is that we are pioneering something much bigger than ourselves and our own destinations. We're pioneering a collaboration between the African continent that I think in years to come will bear much fruit for our own organizations, countries, and our continent. I think initiatives that SITE is putting out there to engage young people in leadership roles across Africa is really what's going to make a massive difference. As much as we are in a very challenging situation now, I think there is great hope for our continent, just by the quality and the nature of the people around this table. I think that bodes well. But you know, you spoke about the Africa being so front and center in the whole climate change and sustainability debate. I think the world is looking at Africa for its solutions to climate change. We are going to be so well positioned, not only from a business tourism point of view, to capitalize on that particular segment, but I think we can see there will be trillions of dollars and euros flowing into Africa to support reforestation issues, conservation issues, and all sorts of initiatives that return Africa to its rightful place to be the breadbasket of the world, the resource basket of the world. And I think there are many African professionals that are returning to Africa with huge skills base that they've gained in the global market, that see Africa as their future for not only their own wealth creation, but as a place where they can make a purposeful contribution to Africa and the world. So my message of hope is that we just need to grind it out, keep working in collaboration. Tess, what you said about us needing to build strong relationships, friendship, and trust between us as the people on the African continent will be a fundamental building block to our successes. We're not going to do this alone as just South Africa or just Rwanda or just Egypt or Kenya or Nigeria. We have to do it together. And when we join our voices with purpose and with passion, we will make our dreams, our African dreams, come true. And like Rick said, as an elder now in the industry, I would love to make myself available. Please link up with me on LinkedIn as the first step, and then let's stay connected and get the dialogue going. I've sit on the Rwanda board, and that's been a wonderful joy for me. But also know that going forward, I have a role to play in many different places, and let's make Africa strong and make it happen.
Great, fantastic.
Thank you so much, guys. Unfortunately, we are out of time, a little bit over time. I'm sure our audience will forgive us. I just want to thank everybody for their wonderful contribution, and let's get together soon, strategize for 2022, and make things great again. Thank you for your participation, and have a lovely day.
Thank you, Tess.